Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people. Welcome back to the We Talk Football podcast. Now, just a quick message before we jump into the video. Only 55% of you who are watching this video are currently subscribed to this channel. Now, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, you'd be doing us a massive favor. We're up to 72 subscribers and we've gone through our period of biggest growth, but we appreciate any support you can give us. So as I said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, we'll jump in. Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people. Welcome back to the We Talk Football podcast. Look how gassed this guy is down there, kissing his badge in his shirt that's too tight for him. Kwaku, talk about Chelsea. Go on, mate.
Oh, mate. So obviously we've got David on today to talk about Arsenal, but we cannot escape the fact that Chelsea are in the Champions League final for the first time in 9 years. Yeah, man, I'm absolutely gassed with it. I can't lie. I've not really been able to sleep properly. Obviously, we went to the second leg against Real Madrid as favourites. But for some reason, I just couldn't really imagine us in the Champions League final. And I have to kind of pinch myself every so often to remind myself that we're actually there. Obviously, the moment's a little bit more dampened because there's not fans in the stadium. But the fact that we've made it there, especially with how the season's gone, how Lampard was disposed of in January and things that are going tits up, to now Thomas Tuchel's come in and rejuvenated everybody in that team. I can't believe it, man. I'm absolutely gassed. I can't believe it.
Well, you could still finish fifth and it could go tits up, mate.
Possibly. But the thing is, we all know that at the end of the season for Chelsea, everyone's like, oh, Chelsea this, Chelsea that. But at the end of the season, it always seems to just come good and we seem to have a decent season. Somehow, listen, the Rich Asari season, disastrous. Like, Kepa's not coming off the pitch, this and that. Like, we got to two finals, we won the Europa League and finished third in the league, and that was a disaster of a season for Chelsea. So I don't know. I just have I have hopes for the end of this season.
To be fair, like let's talk a little bit about the game. To be completely honest with you, it was a really, really good performance by Chelsea. The scoreline is very flattering towards Real Madrid. It should have been far more, but like Chelsea have done all season, they failed to put the ball in the net. And
if only they had a striker, right?
Yeah, if only they had a proper striker. I know Timo Werner scored his goal, but like it was on a plate. If he misses that one, then it really is exit doors, surely. What did you think about the game, though, Quakes?
The game was a tale of two Mendys, because I know in our preview we were talking about Furlan Mendy for Real Madrid being the key factor, especially with Azpilicueta being touted to play a right wing back. But we kind of nullified their threat from both wings, and Azpilicueta had one of his games of the season, and the other Mendy in goal for Chelsea was absolutely incredible. Edouard just put on an absolute clinic. The save from Benzema in the first half, something that Kepa would not have got to. Then also the save from Benzema's header as well.
Yeah,
Mendy really saved us. And in a Champions League game where it's all about moments, it's all about capitalizing on those moments. And where we failed to capitalize in the attacking third in terms of taking our chances, we definitely came good in our defensive third, with Mendy pulling off some incredible saves to see us through to the final of the Champions League. So that's my biggest takeaway from it. I think world-class keepers, it's not like they're underrated, but you can't underestimate how much of an effect they have.
They win your games.
They win your games. If you didn't have Mendy in that game, we're not going through to the Champions League final. It's a smash and grab from Real Madrid. So the biggest takeaway is Mendy's performance. I don't know what David thought about it, though.
No, definitely. I think, like you're saying, it's exactly that. It's the fine margins in big games like this. You know what I mean? And Chelsea just seemed to be ahead in all of them. They were like burst to the ball a lot of times. Like we were chatting before about like Mason Mount's energy in the game, Pulisic's energy, and like you said, Azpilicueta, I think, is one of the most top professionals in the Premier League. You look at how he's kind of managed his career out; it's pretty mad. He should be getting burnt like constantly. Do you know what I mean? It should not be like.
He shouldn't be starting at right wing back. He should be able to do it. Yeah,
he shouldn't be able to do it, but he is, because he reads the game like pretty well. He does the little fouls as well. He manages games pretty well, but like at that age, it's kind of expected. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to be keeping up with the likes of like a Wilfried Zaha. Do you know what I mean? You can't be doing that. So he got a little foul here and there, but he had a great game. And then obviously I think it's great for Werner to get his goal, even though it's a yard out. It is. He needed the confidence boost, and the defense held him for the rest of the game. So you get to the final, and now he's got the opportunity to prove himself. So we'll see. But no, you just can't fault Chelsea. 2-0 against Real Madrid.
You really can't. I totally agree with everything you're saying there, David. It was a really professional performance by Chelsea, and I think it's a typical Tuchel performance where Chelsea just looked completely resolute at the back. Special shout out to Kai Havertz as well, who off the last 2 games is really starting to show his promise. Up until now, I've been very doubtful that he was going to translate it across to the league because I hadn't really watched much of him in the Bundesliga. But the dink over the keeper last night, like that's just different gravy. Obviously, that creates that chance for Werner. Mason Mount again doing what Mason Mount does. I rate Mason Mount so highly, even though he's from Portsmouth, Kwaku, as you said the other week. But yeah, I rate him so highly, man. And Chelsea, yeah, like it's the one thing I will say is it as insurmountable as playing Bayern Munich in the final a few years ago? Is it a bigger challenge? Man City are hungry as hell. They want this so much, and they look unbelievable. You want to play Mahrez right now?
Man.
You think Azpilicueta can,
honestly,
play against those wingers?
It's so interesting because this is going to be a Champions League final that's probably going to feature like no out and out strikers. It's the battle of the false nines because Man City are not going to be playing with a striker more likely than not, and Chelsea, I don't know if you can consider any of our frontline a striker. You two have already gone in on Timo Werner, who is inside forward, or he's a winger, or he's a false nine, but he's not a goal scorer. So it'll be interesting to see how we fare against Man City. And like you touched on, Jamie, we faced big challenges in the Champions League before 2012. Case in point, where we had to go to Barcelona, who are the best team in the world, and beat them in their backyard, and we had to beat Bayern Munich in their backyard as well, which we did with the Drogba penalty to seal it. So,
can I just say, Didier Drogba beat Bayern Munich, mate. Didier Drogba was the guy that beat him. Like, you think Timo's got that in his locker? You're gonna have to do it with no striker. That's all I'm saying.
We will see. We will see. We've seen crazier things happen in football. So I'm not going to rule Chelsea out of it. I'm just absolutely gassed that we're there, man. I'm gassed that we're part of the conversation. I'm gassed that we're back at the top of European football. And one thing I will say is that when a team does go and spend as much money as Chelsea have spent in the summer, these are the minimum expectations. And this is why Lampard lost his job, because we were sitting in 7th or 8th. I know we've gone through in the group stage of the Champions League, but we weren't looking like a team that was going to challenge for the Champions League. So when Roman Abramovich spends his money and when he hires and fires at the rate that he does, this is because he expects a certain level. And as much as people can criticize Chelsea in terms of the way the club run and whatever, you can't deny the fact that success is bred within the club.
This is exactly the point what I was trying to say because we did the special episode after Frank Lampard left. And I said the blueprint of Chelsea for the last 15 years has been chop and change managers, and it brings you trophies. I think there was just a romance attached to Frank Lampard then because he's Mr. Chelsea, even though he came through at West Ham, but he's Mr. Chelsea, unbelievable management by Roman Abramovich again, bringing in and changing the manager when he needed to, because ultimately Chelsea weren't good enough. They were too suspect, and Frank Lampard clearly put too much preference on the younger players and throws out influential older players in the dressing room that are now coming into your team and being influential. Marcus Alonso's played a role in your team. Azpilicueta's played a role in your team. Rudiger's played a role in your team. Like there's multiple players he throws out and have now come in and flourished. And it's just always the way in football. Game of opinions, as we always say. But talking of big football teams, anyway, guys, we've got a big game in the Europa League tonight. Arsenal going up against Villarreal. What are you thinking, Dave?
Up against Mr. Good Evening, it's always going to be a huge game. It's going to be a huge game. There's just always so much tied to it. Obviously, our old managers there, we're underperformed in the last game massively. You just look at it, and we're just so fortunate to get that away goal. And thankfully, Pepe's been in unbelievable form in the Europa League, and credit to him, he's had his doubters. I've been one that stuck with him. I had a lot of shouts saying that he was going to be our next Jorginho. I couldn't hack it. It's getting me down in different ways, man. It was horrible, but he stuck through it, and he's come through good. And getting us that away goal was needed. But I was saying that literally with Arsenal, we seem to do well when we're not in the hot seat, when the pressure's not on us to be winning games, like we did against Chelsea in the FA Cup. We pull out the result. When we're the underdog, we seem to
that hurt him.
Pull our socks up and get it done. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully that's the case tonight. That they get a bit ahead of themselves. They think they've got a bit of a walkover. We bring out a stronger squad. The key thing we've got to do is just make sure we play to our strengths. Arteta's been doing a lot of experimentation, which I'm not 100% on. Do you know what I mean? It's just very rogue, very, early stages of the qualifying rounds kind of team sheet. And like, we're in the semi-finals now. You need to, sort this out.
Well, drawing on what you're saying in terms of bringing a stronger squad, it looks like Lacazette and Tierney and David Owusu are all going to be intentional, fighting to get back in the squad. Whether he'll use them or not is up in the air yet. And I think you've got everyone available other than Dani Ceballos, obviously, after he got sent off last week. What do you think? What do you think his predicted lineup's going to be, Dave?
I think he's going to go with the same back five. He's going to probably end up keeping it. As much as David Luiz would be great to put in there, I don't think you'd want to rush him in because I don't think his body can hack it at the moment. David Luiz, again, like this, I think it'll be more if and when we need him, we'll bring him in. And then centre mids. Jury's out. We just need we need a partner for Partey real bad. He may end up dropping Odegaard a little bit deeper. I could potentially see that, and then maybe putting ESR at Cam and Saka on the left, Pepe on the right. But we'll see. That would be the ideal one. I think playing centre midfielders in centre midfield makes sense.
Well, that's the craziest thing from the first leg, because obviously Ceballos is out with suspension, but in the first leg, Smith Rowe was playing as a false nine. Like he was, it didn't make any sense, because I feel like as much as Villarreal can maybe take heart from the fact that they beat Arsenal, I think Villarreal were there for the taking. And I just think Arteta got it so wrong with his lineup in the first leg. It was crazy to watch. I had obviously one eye on that game and one eye on the Man United Roma game. But every time I turned to the Arsenal game, I was like, Ceballos is getting spun in midfield. He looks like he's going to pick up a second yellow. Like Arteta take him off. Like it was the first game that I've seen Arteta get it completely wrong. Like every single thing that he did got wrong. And you got bailed out with obviously that away goal. And I don't know. I do see Arsenal going through in it, but like obviously you know better than me. I just can't name Arsenal's best starting lineup, and I don't think Arteta knows that at the moment either, just because of a mixture of injuries and suspension.
No, it's exactly that, and it's I think it's players that he's put the trust in and let him down in some ways. So yeah, that's a Ceballos. You've got an opportunity to like really show yourself good here, like regardless of why injuries or whatever form. It's a semi-final. You should be like putting your best foot forward. You've got to stay disciplined. You've had enough of a lesson with how Jacques has been handled around the discipline issues to know that you just don't get yourself a second yellow in games. Don't get yourself sent off needlessly. Team needs you. But the maddest thing about it was that we actually played better when he went off. Like we scored after he went off the pitch. So he's just kind of like, some players are just kind of liabilities.
For sure. Just to draw on that as well, like as much as Arsenal have been a very hot and cold side all season, even in some of the games you've lost, it's a lot of the blame always comes down to Arteta, but a lot of the times that you guys lose, it comes down to individual errors that Arteta doesn't always, how do you account for that as a manager, so how do you account for the Swedish keeper fumbling the ball into the net, or a defender, I can't think of the guy, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name, but you signed him second choice keeper when Leno was out, but like on not
or whatever.
Multiple occasions like that, you've had like individual players make individual errors that have affected the outcome of games. So it's difficult for Arsenal right now. But I'm going to press you for a score prediction on tonight, Dave. What you're saying? It's a good scoreline to take home.
It is. I don't think it's going to be clean sheet for us, if I'm honest. I'm looking at a 2-1 Arsenal.
Oh.
To take it. I think that's most likely.
Yeah, no, that's so 2-1 Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah.
So you think it's going to extra time?
Yeah, it'll be extra time.
I think it will. And
I
can't see us doing it. I can't see us doing it in the 90. I'd love to, but
so
2-1, and then we'll probably grab a goal. And
So penalties or
3-1 extra time.
See, I think Arsenal are going through as well. I think you're going to win this game 2-0. One question though that I've got for you, Dave, is where you're sitting in the league right now is not where Arsenal should be sitting. If Arteta loses this game or Arsenal go out of the Europa League at this stage, does Arteta deserve to keep his job?
It's a real tough one again. With all the big takeover news and whatnot, you look at it and we're not realistically going to find, I think, a manager that's as attuned to Arsenal anytime soon. The only one I was like really calling for, but we'd have to like do a madness to try and get him, is probably Allegri. I think we need someone that could literally like step on everyone and be like, get your acts together, like literally just come and dominate the team and be like, all of this mistakes, malarkey, lack of discipline, just get it out of the club. And I feel like someone in like an Italian league can do that. So someone like him, but yeah, he's still obviously out in retirement or whatever. So yeah, I feel like a manager like Arteta needs time to grow and support to do that. And I think the board technically do back him, and I think he's got a pretty decent relationship with Edu. So I think if anything, fans will be calling for him to go, but it'll be more likely that he'll get one more season. And if he doesn't do anything by January, if you're not seeing by January, I could see him go. But yeah, no, I think he'll be able to do it. I think even though it has been abysmal, this is literally just the Europa League is saving what has been an abysmal season anyway. We all know, as Arsenal fans, we know where we're at. We're not where we should be. We're not competing on the level we should be. We should be losing games or drawing games with the likes of Fulham, Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Like, just not on. So, regardless of the fact that we're managing to like maybe get ourselves out of a hole with a Europa League final, hopefully like a win, get us back into Champions League and that kind of thing, we're not ready to compete like week in, week out. Like top clubs, you should be competing on multiple fronts. At the moment, we're only competing on the Europa League. Do you mean it?
But that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like me and Quaker have spoken about this off camera multiple times. It's like there's a sense of entitlement, especially with the big six clubs. You know, there's no reason like, well, yeah, you're a huge club, but you're a huge club everywhere, but on the pitch right now. Like if you look at your squad, like I don't mean this as an indictment on Arsenal fans, but if you look at your squad, other than Lacazette, you know, Partey, you could say is a decent player. Leno's a half decent keeper. Like you haven't got many amazing players. Like let's just be real about that. Lacazette is good when he scores, but that's infrequent at times. You know, like Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka are bright sparks in Arsenal. I think they've both got great careers ahead of them. Odegaard's looking good, but other than that, you don't have an amazing squad. Like you don't have a squad that looks like it deserves to be in the top four. You know, like.
Yeah. But Jay, one thing I will say, from your point of view as a West Ham fan, you've had an incredible season this year. We always seem to bring things back to West Ham, but West Ham had an incredible season this season. But just remember the frustration that you had in the game against Liverpool when you showed them all that respect. And that's just like a microcosm of what Arsenal in mind and in body and in what they've been for the last like couple of decades or whatever have been a big club. And so that frustration that you felt in that Liverpool game with your team not coming out to play, with a West Ham team that are way less talented than Arsenal, think about that's how Arsenal feel every single game of the season.
As much as I agree with you, in that snapshot, that was reflective of the performances we'd been putting in all season. I feel like we had a squad good enough to challenge Liverpool. I feel like at that point in time, we were at full strength. We were going into that. We could have assessed our, like stamped our authority on a top four place. You know, when we went to Liverpool and gave them too much respect and said we're going to sit on the halfway line for 90 minutes and just let you play, and then let Salah score 2 goals. That was an anti-way to play football that we hadn't played all season. I'm not naive enough to think that we're a West Ham fan. We should be going to Anfield and winning games. That's not what I mean. I just feel like with Arsenal's squad, I'm saying, is their squad even good enough to be a top 6 side right now? Like, okay, let's talk. West Ham squad definitely isn't good enough. But if you put West Ham squad up against Arsenal squad, half of West Ham squad are getting into that Arsenal squad 100% of the like every day of the week. Like it wouldn't be a complete Arsenal squad with Rice in the middle. Do you see what I'm saying? And West Ham shouldn't be anywhere near the top 6. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what
I hear what you're saying. I think that's fair. Half may be a bit of a bold shout. We'll discuss that.
Let's go.
But no. I think definitely that we're not the team that, if you look at our squad on paper, you're worried about anymore. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's no fear attributed with Arsenal anymore.
That's the thing. But even in spite of that, what separates us, and I always love this because I get an opportunity to rag on Tottenham a little bit, is just the fact that regardless of that, this is probably like the worst squad we've had in a little while, but we're still challenging for top trophies somehow. And Henri made a great point about it. Even when we're doing poorly, we've won FA Cups, you know, we've won Charity Shields. We've still got trophies in and around the deadness, whereas Tottenham's best ever team, they're like best ever striker, like England's like leading man, cannot do it. You know what I mean?
One thing I'm saying, David, is I completely agree with that. And when you want to ban at Tottenham and laugh at Tottenham, that's a perfect ammunition. But if we're being honest with ourselves, I feel like Arsenal winning all those FA Cups at the end of Wenger's tenure and then under Arteta last season has just paper over the cracks. And I feel if Arsenal hadn't won those trophies in that period, there might have been more drastic action in terms of like the investment, or actually really looking at the situation, and maybe this revolt from the fans towards the owners would have come a bit earlier. But I feel like at the end of the season in May, if you're lifting up an FA Cup, all is forgotten. You forget that the owners haven't invested in the club. You forget that the managers aren't good enough, and it papers over all the cracks that have been at Arsenal for the last decade and a half. Since really and truly since the Invincible season, Arsenal have been on a downward slide. And I think although you can use those trophies to banter Spurs, I feel like those trophies have also caused or contributed to the detriment of Arsenal. So
no, definitely, I 100% agree with that in the sense that it kind of like just placates the fans for a little bit, doesn't it? Like at the end of the day, football is there as a competitive sport, so we're there to win trophies, right? So we have achieved the objective, but how we've gone about it and how we're going to go about it in the future is always under question, because every season we're looking at again, like, are we going to maintain that? Are we going to have a good run, get away with winning stuff here? And it's a bit frustrating because you look at it like back in the day, if to say Chelsea or City win an FA Cup, it's suddenly like this glorious trophy added to their list. But when Arsenal win it in like a pretty poor season, it's only the FA Cup, you know, don't worry about it. Clubless that love playing their like crappy football in this league. That do you know what I mean? That tournament that no one really interested in anymore.
I don't even know if
Champions League now.
I don't even know if that's unique to Arsenal nowadays, though, because realistically, if City don't win anything, like, well, for example, if City had a poor season this year, only won the FA Cup, that would have been a bad season for City, you know. I think like if you're a big club nowadays, like as much as there's a romance surrounding the FA Cup, I just don't think it holds the same weight for that level of club, you know.
It holds weight, I think, if you finish in the top, because now top four is basically a trophy. So if you finish in the top four, and obviously only one team can win the league. So if you finish in the top four and you win the FA Cup, you can look back on it and be like, that was
and the Champions League, yeah, Greg, and the Champions League,
and Champions League. But
that's why I'm saying it.
No, but if you're like, just literally. But if you're languishing in mid-table and like you somehow tripped up and you end up in the FA Cup final where you beat, do you know what I mean? Then it's just like, okay, fair enough, you won the FA Cup, but what about the 38 games in the league?
No, but that's if you're a big club. That Arsenal is seen as a big club. If you're Wolves, if you're West Ham, if you're like, I don't know, any like mid to lower tier side, if you finish 18th in the Premier League and you win the FA Cup, like it's a banging season, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all down to club stature, and it's just the entitlement that comes with top six clubs, you know. But I say the top six, you know. So
the Super League clubs, you know.
Yeah, Super League clubs. I weren't invited to the party, guys.
Hey, Jay, before we go, think about how much the narratives change, like, or how much football is just so funny, just so. Tribalism just like is what football's all about, because what last week or 2 weeks ago I'm like, deduct Chelsea 15 points, kick us out of the Champions League. Now I'm sat here in a shirt that I got bought for me in 2005 that's too small for me, sitting in kissing my badge, you know what I mean, celebrating that I'm going to Istanbul,
praising Abramovich for letting Lampard go.
Quality decisions to let Lampard go.
Wait, the amount of contradictions in this episode. Literally a few months ago, you and we did the special episode with Dan. I've already said about it, but like, you're like, oh no, it's a terrible decision. Can't be letting Frank go. Like, so it's great management from like, it's just
bro, the hypocrisy involved in football, like winning just changes everything. So
honestly,
I'm sitting here accepting that.
Also, it's like the big six things now is almost like for the fans, like, well, we're part of the big six club. Everyone else is, you know, the rest of football, you know. You guys have got that now. I've had that thrown at me numerous times in the last few weeks. So thanks for that. But in the meantime, where can they find us, Quakes?
You can find us on Instagram at We Talk Football Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at WTF Podcast 90. We're on TikTok. We haven't posted for a while, but I have bought some new football stickers. So I will be posting or revealing or do a pack opening for those football stickers. You can find us on Apple Music and Spotify. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the We Talk Football Podcast. We're back with more daily videos. So yeah. And David, thank you for joining us.
No problems as always.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. Let's hope our Arsenal get a result tonight.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Hope they lose. See you later, mate.
Awesome.